It's not just a signal, it's a warning.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Late Night Poll featuring myself and, well, typically my co-host, Austin Leon from Little Big Studios. Unfortunately, he's not here right now. He's going to be on a date, and Dawson is out of town. So it is just going to be a solo show tonight with yours truly. As you all know, I am Philip Barker, or as you can all tell just by down there, Unfiltered. You can all follow me just at Twitter, Vero, and Instagram. Anywhere else, just at Unfiltered. You can also follow me here on the Four Nerds Network. You can find all the other shows and all the other people who have their own respective channels, like Xavier Fett, ECS, who had his Friday show earlier today. You can also follow Dawson Nerd in many ways, as well as the Nicotina Show, all on the Four Nerds Network. Again, thank you all for tuning in. For anyone who's here, I hope it's been a very pleasant, splendid Thanksgiving for everyone out there watching. I know today is Black Friday, probably one of the busiest holidays or post-holidays days of the year. I know a lot of people are doing a lot of shopping. So yeah, speaking of shopping, I guess we got a lot of books to talk about. That's for damn sure. Well, I don't know. Since it's me and there's a lot going on. Probably going to do this pretty quickly, but I figured why not? Why not go live? Why not put it out there in the ether? I guess I should actually make it official that we're live. So
Probably going to do this.
let me just go ahead and mute that. Whoopsie daisy. Goofed it just a bit there, but we are live talking this week's comics on Black Friday. Boom, folks. There we go. Hashtag late night poll. We star. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. Well, let's see what we've got going on here. Well, first of all, again, I hope everyone had a really splendid Thanksgiving. Just want to go ahead and reiterate that because we are, again, Thanksgiving weekend. Friday night, post Black Friday. I know there was probably a lot of shopping be done. I'm sure a lot of comic book stores had a lot of great deals going on. I know the store I worked at had some pretty cool deals. Pretty much like 20% off everything. So, yeah. I guess without further ado, go ahead and do my first book. That is DC Vampires. It's written by James Tynion, drawn by Matthew Rosenberg. Written by James Tynion and Matthew Rosenberg. Art, color, and main cover by Otto Schmidt. And this is issue 2 of 12 of a mini series. And I was reading it just before I started hit live stream. And man, this book ends with this book does some things. But thankfully, like a lot of the series they're doing now, it's a part of a mini series, probably more than likely set in an Elseworld. So that's cool. Essentially, you find out that vampires are kind of slowly but surely infiltrating the metahuman community. And it's kind of course, up to Batman, the greatest detective in the world, figures it out first. And it's up to him and a lot of other humanity to kind of put an end to it. There's some cool stuff that happens in the book. Green Arrow goes after a crew of villains and kind of ousts one of them as a vampire and does the deed, and then the book ends with a heroic death of one of the Justice League members. I will not reveal which one here because it's kind of a shock of all things considered. If you've read issue number 1, then you know exactly who the vampire is. So I'll just say that particular vampire does a pretty wicked kill at the end of issue number 1, and that is again of DC Vampires. Yeah, and that's a really cool cover. I mean, even just looking at it now, Batman. I want to holding a double-bladed double axe. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I like it quite a bit. Quite a fair bit. Quite a bit. Yeah, I guess that second issue was probably better than the first. So the first one really was just kind of like a here are the pieces, here's the board kind of feel. This one you kind of get a little bit more of the meat, I suppose, of where this story is headed. And even just for a little bit of context, a lot of the supervillains haven't been seen. Like Batman makes note the fact that Lex Luthor hasn't been seen anywhere around the world for over 2 weeks. So it's interesting to see just how these vampires are kind of placing their pawns and which metahumans they've already taken over as the story unfolds and as you find out which ones are vampires and which ones are not. We got Shree in the chat. How's it going, Shree? Hope you're having a great Black Friday evening going on. I know. Hopefully you got some cool pulls. I unfortunately didn't get anything today. I'm just trying to save up so I can move out, maybe hopefully by the end of next week. So my list this week is a little bit tighter. Otherwise, I probably would have had some older trades to talk about. But I will talk about a graphic novel towards the tail end of this. But right now, we're just kind of talking about our weekly pulls and kind of just chiming in about DC versus vampires from James Tynan. The Batman versus yeah, I'm liking it now. The first issue didn't really do too much for me, but this one kind of picked up some steam in a good way. And again, there's a unfortunate end for one of the Justice League members at the end of this issue, and I didn't see it coming. So I feel like the big win of this series so far is probably the surprise factor of who becomes a vampire, who dies, who lives. Because, spoilers for the first issue, a lot of the Legion of Doom is dead. Diggity dead. Yar. I didn't get anything other than booster shot for COVID. There we go. Good for you. Keeping yourself safe from COVID. Gotta love this stuff. Not all super spoilers. Just not from this book specifically, just not even regular spoilers, just really just light details more than anything. But if you haven't, I kind of just mentioned things that happened in issue 1. So if you haven't read issue 1, I apologize. But that said, yeah, in issue 1, they established real quick that the Legion of Doom is dead. So yeah, that was a big whole moment from issue number 1. Issue number 2 gives you a little bit more to chew on in terms of, what is going on and how it's at. But then again, it's very expository from Batman, and he kind of rounds out the Bat fam a little bit to talk about it too. And Alfred's there too. That's a nice change of pace because in the current run of comics, Alfred is dead. But yeah, overall, DC versus Vampires number 2, I liked it. Enjoyed it quite a fair bit. So looking forward to issue number 3. Hopefully, the steam keeps going forward. Hopefully it's not like a Batcat situation where I like every other book. So we'll see. No worries. I don't really care about spoilers. Just ask. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think maybe I should just kind of get a spoiler thing. I know there's like a spoiler freaking clip that there's here. Here we go. Spoilers, because spoilers comics kind of goes hand in hand. And that said, we're moving on to issue next book in my pull list is going to be issue number 79 of The Amazing Spider-Man. Now I kind of came out of this book just kind of on a whim after all the Kindred stuff. That was the current big bad, kind of going back to past before issue 75, issue 76, whichever. I think this run started on issue 76, and before that, they were kind of doing this story where the soul of Harry Osborn was kind of stuck to this thing called Kindred. I don't know. I don't really. It wasn't my bag. We'll just put it to you that way. Was not my bag of a Spider-Man story. But this one, on the other hand, is very much in tune with me because I'm a 90s kid, and I'm kind of a fan of Ben Reilly. And the central focus of this story is Peter Parker is in a coma, and Ben Reilly has foreseeably taken over the mantle of Spider-Man through the means of the Beyond Corporation, who have given him his own super spider suit that is withstanding to a lot of other things that Spider-Man normally would have trouble facing in, out in while on duty. So, I actually finished this issue right before I went into DC versus Vampires, and it features, like on the cover, it features Kraven the Hunter. So it was Ben Reilly versus Kraven the Hunter. Kraven kind of uses one of the people working for the Beyond Company to kind of lure him out. I could be wrong about that. I kind of sped through it, but essentially what happens is Kraven lures Ben into an apartment and they kind of duke it out. But then at the end of the issue, he douses Ben with these darts, these hallucinogenic darts, and in the end of the issue sees Ben having just this bad trip of just this flaming skull head Kraven the Hunter looking MFer. Let me just pull up a panel so I can show you guys. So there's Ben getting hit with the darts, right? And then the very last page is just this hellish, angelic Kraven the Hunter with a beanbag Ben covered in trank darts. Just, my goodness. So I'm very curious to see what issue 80 has. It feels like, Spider-Man has this, at least now in the last couple of years, I've noticed. Every 5 issues, there has to be some big woo thing that goes on with him in the comics. So I'm very curious to see where issue 80 goes. Let's see. Never got into Marvel Comics, even Spider-Man, only now started buying some DC Comics. For the last 10 years, I collected predominantly single issues of DC Comics, and it wasn't only until this past year I started really collecting a lot of single issue Marvel Comics. And even now, a lot of the older stuff that I buy is predominantly Marvel, funny enough. But even then, it's a combination of like Marvel Spider-Man, Marvel X-Men, and then I just get a bunch of Batman singles and maybe some Superman stuff as well. Like I actually just got some of the John Byrne single issues of his Man of Steel Superman stories. So that was a very interesting pick. But yeah, going back to Spider-Man, like that book is fun. I really like the fact that Ben Reilly is kind of back in a homage version of his initial suit. I feel like that's a really nice pull there. Oh man, I really got to get a clip for that. Like, good pull, nice pull. Like, just can't find one, but I will when I have time. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, moving on. These next couple of books, this one I actually read when I walked in and saw on the one of the other covers, because I got a variant cover of this. It's Iron Man number, I believe, 14. Let's see here. Through the Mirror. Yeah, Iron Man number 14, and this variant cover is actually a homage to the first Iron Man film. And I got this book because I thought it was solicited for January, but it turns out this is actually this is the beginning of the Iron God. I guess maybe even the prelude, but it doesn't really call it a prelude, but it is kind of the precursor to where that storyline will begin. Let me see. Shri asks, have you checked out the Red Blue series? No, I haven't. We have, I think, all 6 issues on our wall, but I could be wrong about that. That said, I'm waiting till it's in a trade form to pick it up. But I am looking forward to that book. But yeah, this book right here, I didn't expect to like it too much because I only really just picked it up because I really wanted to see where the concept went, and I actually wound up liking it more than I thought I would. So essentially what happens is Tony Stark kind of wakes up in this dreamish world and almost dukes it out with this cosmic entity, so much so that like when this entity considers itself a god, Tony kind of reappears and just kind of tells old boy, good morning, because Tony Stark is now he essentially has the power cosmic, and he has essentially, I don't want to say become a cosmic herald of Galactus, but he has the power cosmic and is essentially turned into the Iron God. And it's I never thought a concept would be so intriguing to me, But when Ghost Rider became a cosmic herald of Galactus to become a cosmic bounty hunter throughout the galaxy, that was badass. So I'm very curious to see what happens here with the Iron God concept. Because I'm the farthest Iron Man fan ever. I don't really read too many Iron Man comics. Matter of fact, the last Iron Man book I read in full was probably Ultimate Iron Man, and even that was kind of like, ooh, that was a read. That was definitely a read. But this, there's some really great artwork in here. You see Tony Stark just kind of like here, you kind of just see Tony Stark in a really cosmic perspective here, and he's just doing some real cosmic shit. Yeah, I like Shri. I'm right there with you, Shri. I really love cosmic Marvel too. That's kind of where my bag kind of lies a lot, because when some of my favorite episodes of Spider-Man, the animated series, they kind of had a cosmic edge to them to some extent too. And even with like the multiverse with Madam Web, like that stuff I really liked. And even on occasion, he had Captain America, some of the X-Men, Doctor Strange, and I think even Iron Man showed up too. But yeah, I'm very curious to see where this Iron God stuff goes. I actually don't mind Christopher Cantwell as a writer. I guess it's a good thing that I'm kind of dipping the foot into more Marvel comics, because I used to be predominantly very DC and Batman, but now that I work at a shop, it's just nice to kind of have a little bit more of a rounded perspective on a lot of these books that are out now. And these next two I have not had the chance to read yet, but this next one that I am going to talk about, a friend of mine did read at the shop, and he said this one, it kind of picks up steam quite a bit, and I'm just kind of breezing through it right now, but Task Force Z #2, basically imagine Jason Todd in like a Rick Flag-ish role, and he's got his own, not quite Suicide Squad, but a team of these zombified supervillains. And he kind of hordes them around to do the bidding of certain people. And it is actually quite entertaining. But that's why it's called Task Force Z, because they're a bunch of zombies instead of Task Force X. It's got a pretty cool cover. You got big ol' zombified Bane there. You got the rest of the crew. You got Bloom. You got the Arkham Knight. And then I think that's, you know what? I honestly don't remember. That's Man-Bat. Freaking Man-Bat right there. Man-Bat. I wish they'd put Man-Bat in a Batman movie. Will it ever happen? I don't know. We'll see. But I would absolutely love to see Man-Bat in a Batman movie somewhere down the line. Oh, here we go. Here's a panel full of everyone. Yep, Man-Bat, Arkham Knight, Red Hood, Bloom, and Bane. Here we go. Just pull it over you guys right there. Yeah. That's a pretty looking page, huh? Yeah. Hell yeah. Outsiders or is it outlaws? I would call them zombies. Team Z, Team Zombie. I'm not 100% sure. But by the looks of it, just by kind of skimming through the issue here a little bit, looks like they are going after the Cobra Cult, which I think they did establish that in the first issue. So that's cool. They're a very low radar DC. Ooh. Last page teases Deadshot. Spoilers. But yeah, based on my coworker's recommendation, I'm gonna definitely pick this up. Well, I've obviously picked it up already, but I'm definitely gonna give it a read here in a minute once I'm done talking about these books. The next book on my list I got purely because I am just absolutely in love with Dan Mora's art, because this art is just absolutely impeccable in every sense of the word. But I really want to make sure it's the right art. I'm pretty sure it's Dan Mora, but I just want to be double sure. Where's the last page? Ooh, that is a great panel of Batman. Yeah, Dan Mora. But holy damn, that's a cool ass page of Batman. Holy shit. Dan Mora, You do great work, my friend. Wow, can't wait to read that too. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be super, super awesome to read. But man, even just looking at that cover, yeah, that's a cover buy, most definitely, abso-freaking-lutely. But Marco Tamaki, a friend of mine, Chris Evans, mentioned that Marco Tamaki does phenomenal work, and I'm very excited to kind of read that, because I guess that is that the super finale to Fear State, because I thought Batman 117 was the finale. Figured I know the Red Hood leads the Outlaws. So Red Hood did in fact lead the Outlaws for a long time. It was him, Roy Harper, and Starfire, if I remember correctly. But yeah, those are my definite recommendations. Out of the two that I haven't read yet, would definitely be Batman DC 1045, Detective Comics, and of course Task Force Z #2. And I think Task Force Z and Vampires, DC vs. Vampires, I think both of those are limited. So I know for sure DC vs. Vampires is on a 12-issue miniseries. And 2 just came out. So 3 should come out in December. Yeah, that sounds right. I may even pick up 1046 now. So just because I really like the way Dan Mora draws Batman, I feel like that's getting a lot of positive reception, and it's always nice to see that for certain artists. Speaking of certain artists, talking about my favorite book so far from DC, because it has one of my favorite artists, Howard Porter, on main art duties, and it's written by Josh Williamson, and that is Deathstroke Incorporated. And I keep saying it, and I'm going to continue to say it, and this is, without question, in my humble opinion, just one of the absolute, if not the best book DC is putting out right now. Like this book is just absolutely incredible. I don't think there's been a bad issue yet, and this issue absolutely delivers. I mean, come on, look at that cover. Deathstroke on a badass unicorn with a sword and a shield and knight's armor. That's comics in a nutshell. And that book just man, I could just happily never after the issue 3. Like, I love the second issue. The second issue we got Deathstroke with a double-bladed lightsaber that was orange and blue, and he was fighting Cyborg Superman in space. He goes from that to this story. In this story, he takes part in a story the Queen of Fables had written up for Cheetah. And this is kind of a 2-for-1, because him and Black Canary are doing deeds for the Trust Foundation. Well, I do declare, look who it is. It is I, Need. Arisiah O'Shannon. I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you for joining. But yeah, that book, it is by and far my favorite book of the DC pull list almost every month. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that this is like a story within a story, it's almost kind of meta in that way. And I just love it. That a big gag in this is when Deathstroke gets into the story created by the Queen of Fables, because the Queen of Fables gets hauled in by Black Canary. He gets thrown into the story, and he doesn't have his guns, and he's like, my guns. Let me find a panel, because it was just too funny not to not talk about, because here we go. You're lucky I don't have my guns. Because Deathstroke, again, predominant gun user, especially when he takes part in the killing of people, because he is a hired assassin. It's just interesting to me when you take someone out of their element, they kind of have to think on their feet a little bit. And I think one of the best characters who does think on their feet the most is Slade Wilson. But when he winds up coming into contact with Cheetah, Cheetah has created this giant fantasy of herself as a queen, even so much so she's in like Wonder Woman-esque armor. And eventually they fight, and it's to the point where when Deathstroke, gets to the point of approaching her, you see, he's gone from the armor to just tattered, torn shreds. And when they fight, it is just absolutely a crazy 2-page, just beautiful art here from Howard Porter. Oh my goodness. And then, like, to just kind of go a little more meta with it, he pulls out the actual story page rips it in half, and pulls Cheetah out of her fantasy world. Yeah, this book, I freaking love this book. This book is incredible. I'm going to buy it in single issue form, and then I'm probably going to turn around. Let me see. I friggin' love Trigon. Where is he? I don't have a book with Trigon, but I did see some issues of the Demon with Trigon present. So if I ever get a wild hair up my butt to buy an expensive book like that, I'll bring it on the show. But yeah, that is for sure my pull for this week. And I know it's kind of a short stack. It's kind of also a good time to mention now that I'm in the process of moving, so I'm trying to just save a bit of money for the moment. So my pull list for the next couple weeks may be little to none. This might actually be the last show for a few weeks because of the fact I am moving. But that said, this isn't the end of the show. Just bear with me. I got one other thing I would love to talk about with you guys, and that is, I think we always do a graphic novel recommendation, and so what I'm going to recommend to you fine folks is Batman and the Outsiders Volume 1. I've got the hardcover. I've also got all 3 volumes of it, but making my way through Volume 2. But I just recommend it because I love Mike Barr. I love Jim Aparo's art. I love the idea of Batman heading his own team that isn't the Justice League, and it's full of a lot of these, lesser known characters in the DC universe like Geoforce, Katana, Black Lightning. Well, Black Lightning's a pretty huge character now, let's be real. But, characters that back then people would kind of like, huh? Who? Wouldn't really know. We got Marcus Cruz in the chat. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Carnage references symbiotes or hive minds across the universe and saying they all have a father. I'm going to have to watch that movie again. It's been like a good almost 2 months since I've seen Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Purely because trying to move out, saving money, haven't been there to see the film in theaters in a while, not since the first time it came out that opening weekend on the 15th. I do think I remember seeing Carnage mentioned, or Carnage or Venom, one of them mentioned that they have a hive mind. I do remember that much. I actually picked up Venom 201 and 200 because and I feel like that's kind of sacrilege because the whole King in Black thing was leading into Venom 200, and that's where it all ends. But I got 201, the thing that takes place after that, which I don't mind. Liked it quite a bit. But now, like, I guess Eddie Brock is now like the All-Father or the King of the symbiotes, whichever way you guys like to say it. God armor. I don't have God armor. If I had God armor, I'd probably be a celestial being. Could definitely be celestial. But yeah, I highly recommend Batman and the Outsiders. It is a fun read, especially if you like seeing Batman operate as a leader of a team that isn't the Justice League or even, Batman and Robin or Batman with the Bat family. It's like Batman stepping into a new job, if you will. Something like that. You high? Look like you're smoking. No, I'm extremely tired. And for some reason, I got a stuffy nose now. I don't know why. My nostrils were like fine, but the minute I stepped inside, I don't know. I've got a really stuffy nose now, and that might be, maybe it's allergies. I'm honestly not too sure. But no, I am not high. No. Even though I do smoke cannabis, I will make that abundantly clear, but I am not, at the moment, no. But that was fun. It's been a fun pull. It's been a very fun pull. Marcus Cruz asked, Philip Daniel RPK said that Sony and Marvel MCU, Disney said they were planning a massive Secret Wars crossover with Null as the villain, Tom Holland, Toby and Andrew, and Venom. News to me. I don't really follow Daniel. I mean, I see a lot of his updates, but I don't avidly follow him too much. I will say that a lot of things that he does say, there is stock to put towards more so than a lot of other scoopers because there is some validity to the things that he does throughout into the ether. My ass. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that, Ursiah. I really hope I'm saying that right too, because you're sticking around to talk. I would hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, please correct me. But let's see. Also, Daniel PR said there's going to be a 12 episode saga on Disney Disney Plus, which is perfect. I mean, we're already getting Secret Invasion. I don't know that might lead into a Secret Wars. I personally have never read Secret Wars. I just kind of know of the things that have transpired through Secret Wars. Like I know that's where Spider-Man got the black suit. I did kind of hear today that there is maybe potentially a post-credit sequence that might allude to some such thing. I don't know. I don't really want to get too heavily into that. But I will say the idea of a Secret Wars from Marvel Studios in any capacity doesn't exactly sound out of the realm of possibility. I mean, they adapted some form of Civil War. They adapted some form of Infinity Gauntlet and took the Infinity War title. You could probably even say that Thor Ragnarok is largely inspired. Let's see. Ghost Rider, Raven, and I did got my name right. Cool. Good to know, Arsiah. Ghost Rider or Raven, who wins? Well, Ghost Rider has the penance stare. Raven, if I'm assuming you're talking about Raven from, DC canon, magical, mystical. Well, I guess her powers are a little bit more like they are magic, but they're like heavily ritualistic magic. So I don't know. That's a tough one because I feel like their powers kind of come from a similar well. So I feel like that's a really great matchup there. Personally, I think I might have to give it to Ghost Rider, but that's purely because the penance stare would more than likely leave Raven, suffering in a lot of her own, souls she's got to deal with, accompanied with the fact that she's got Trigon's evil flowing within her as well. So I don't know. I feel like that's a great matchup, though. I'd love to see a story written between the two of them of who would win between them in a fight. That's an interesting one. They're doing Secret Wars. It needs to be 3 movies. Each are 4 to 6 hours to include every Marvel hero. I know Secret Wars is a big story. And, Civil War was a pretty big story. Infinity Gauntlet War and Crusade are very large stories. But I will concede the idea that I think Secret Wars would be if you wanted to do an Avengers trilogy that felt like a spectacle in that, the same way that like Return of the Jedi or even just Endgame was. Yeah, I would say that you could do an Avengers ending trilogy or whatever as, a Secret Wars part 1, 2, 3, even with like Secret Wars subtitles. I don't know. But I feel like if you were to do that story and honor it in the way that, Marvel has proven that they can honor certain things in the past, yeah, I would say that would be the story that could warrant them to do 3 Avengers movies with a subtitle of Secret Wars. Super controversial, but I agree. I mean, it's a great fight. It's a great matchup. And it's honestly, it's stuff like that I would like to see in comics. I mean, I know they did, the Marvel DC crossover. They had the big clash between the two. And, some of the fights I thought were kind of ridiculous. Like Superboy and Spider-Man. That one kind of threw me for a loop there for a minute. I did like, however, watching or reading rather, Captain America and Batman fight to a standstill. That felt appropriate. But there's one more fight in there that I'm not really too keen on. Like Wonder Woman and Storm. Yeah, that one, not too much. But yeah, it's not a controversial take. I mean, everything is entirely subjective. And if you have a solid argument for each fighter, points are points. Take the W where you can, right? I mean, to be fair, if you give anyone the edge, I mean, for example, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Frank Castle, he wound up with the cosmic power and he wanted to take out Thanos and got so powerful to the point where he just became Thanos' enforcer while the Hulk was on a red chain leash. So anything can happen to any of these characters. I mean, even in the Injustice storyline, they made Nightwing the new Dead Man. Like, he's not Boston Brand per se, but he has the powers that Boston Brand had. And they even kind of renamed him a little bit like to Deadwing. I think that was the bit there with Tom Taylor and, turning Nightwing into the new Boston Brand, the Injustice universe, which they did kind of do in the movie. So I thought that was a cool little nod there. But I feel like, that's kind of the point of comics, is they're supposed to be like, if you're a fan of these established characters and you've read a lot of their focal continuity, it's the elseworldly stuff that might catch your eye. But even still, there are some good stories still happening in current continuity. And I feel like that's a controversial thing to say in and of itself, because I always like to say that continuity is whatever you want it to be. And if you have a specific kind of headcanon for a specific character, that's your headcanon. Don't let anyone kind of take it away from you. You know what I mean? Like, in my mind, Batman has had a lot of history. Obviously, he's got a massive history in comics. But in my mind, all the Robins are valid. Carrie Kelly, I would say yes, but also I would also kind of put her in a pocket universe with the Dark Knight. Marcus asks, have you watched Invincible? I have, and as an animation person myself, I think Invincible is middle of the road as far as animation is concerned. I think the voice cast is stellar, but I think the animation could use some work. Matthew asks, hey man, who do you think wins between Wonder Woman and Feora in a death battle? Oh, that's a good one. Well, if we're talking like DC Extended Universe Wonder Woman and Feora, which I would imagine that is the fight here. If not, please tell me so I can better clarify myself, because I know there is a Feora in the comics. She popped up in the Superman Wonder Woman series, I think. I do think that they would fight to the death. And I think that if they were to fight to the death, Wonder Woman may behead her. I would like that. That's personally what I would like to see. Because it feels like, okay, Matt says it is. Okay, for sure. Then yes, I feel like that they would definitely probably fight to the death, and I feel like it would probably get to the point where Wonder Woman would pull kind of like a Henry Cavill Superman moment, but also kind of just go that extra mile and just go full on Wonder Woman and just behead Feora. But I don't know. Kind of depends on the situation in which they were fighting. Like, if Feora had just committed this really atrocious act that defiles everything humanity stands against, yeah, I could absolutely see her just slicing the head off like Steppenwolf. But to the man's point, who brought her to life, kill gods with gods. I don't know that you could call Feora a god, but at the same time, Wonder Woman. Well, even after watching Wonder Woman fight Superman in Zack Snyder's Justice League, I don't know. Because you'd have to wonder, Feora, she's a bread warrior. So yeah, I guess in that sense, since Feora would be a bread warrior, like the same way Zod was, born to be a warrior type Kryptonian, then yeah, I feel like Wonder Woman definitely would at that point be like, okay, she's obviously not going to stop. So I'm going to have to do whatever it takes just to end her, because she popped out of a Phantom Zone or whatever, if that were to be the case, because we know she's still out there in the universe somewhere. Marcus Cruz asks, Jeffrey Dean Morgan or John Hamm as Omni-Man? I like both. Then again, I'm also a fan of J.K. Simmons in the role because he does voice the character. Ursaya says, get some sleep, put in, sign off already. You look like you're half dead. I worked all Black Friday. I had a massive day talking to a lot of customers, and then I had to kind of speed read some of these comics a little bit before I started the show. So there is some truth to that. I am kind of half dead. You were absolutely right. All of your fans will love you. Thank you. Hope you get some sleep. But back to Jeffrey Dean Morgan or John Hamm as Omni-Man. I personally would go with John Hamm because I want to see that guy in a super suit. I absolutely want to see John Hamm in a super suit. And that Omni-Man one would actually be pretty cool. The only thing that kind of throws me would be the Hitler stash that Omni-Man has. I'd wonder if they'd actually do that, which I feel like they might. If they would ever do that in live action, I feel like that's in the cards. I feel like Invincible does have some kind of live action thing in the works too, on top of the animated series. So I wonder just how accurate they would keep that comic from page to the live screen in a live action form. Can't wait for No Way Home. Really hope no early spoilers. UK will premiere there early. So not only is it premiering the UK early, I guess critics are getting a critic screening on the 3rd. If that, that's apparently what I read on Twitter. We'll see if that actually is true. It's my understanding that critics may see it on December 3rd, and if that is the case, cool. I really hope nobody spoils it because that would be an incredibly dick move, much like leaking photos and putting your own damn watermark on it. Like that's shite. That is just a shite dick move. And I hope nobody does that. I just really hope that people can just kind of go into this movie and finally kind of put to rest all these rumors and what have you, and go into the movie and just be like, let the movie be the movie. Hopefully everyone comes out with expectations leveled, and maybe some disappointments might happen. Sure. Me personally, obviously there's a lot of talk about whether or not there will be multiple Spider-Men in that film. I'm personally in the camp that there is reason to believe that is absolutely the case. But if that does not wind up being the case, okay, no big deal. Not one big deal at all. So that was actually a big topic of conversation today. Funny enough, during a Black Friday sale was Spider-Man No Way Home, and just how people are excited for it and how the potential of 3 Spider-Men is. And like just a lot of people, our Spider-Man stuff really sold today. So that was actually quite entertaining to see people buy stacks of Spider-Man and Incredible Hulk and just go into the comics really in anticipation for this movie. Really hope next month we get a Doctor Strange 2 teaser and a Thor 4 teaser on January. See, I think, before we wrap the show up here, I think personally that we won't see a Doctor Strange trailer until the Batman comes out. And the reason I say that is because entirely of tonality. Now, yes, I absolutely understand the great kind of buzz you can generate by throwing out a Doctor Strange teaser in front of Spider-Man, and Marvel Studios very well may do that. 100%. They operate entirely on their own autonomy. So if they do that, I applaud them. But I would honestly not be surprised if they held off a little bit longer. Because, I mean, look at how long they held Spider-Man. Again, they also kind of had to, play nice there with Sony. They dually released that movie together. But I think, and again, I'm happy to be wrong, but I think it would not surprise me if they held off on showing a teaser trailer to wait in front of the Batman. And I say that, or maybe even in front of Morbius, because those 2 films are in tonality, in terms of tone. I feel like Morbius and the Batman fall a lot closer towards Doctor Strange in that tonality. Now, again, Doctor Strange is a supporting character in Spider-Man No Way Home, so it would also just make a lot of sense and, just be good fan service in a sense, I guess, supposed to, because, fans just eat that kind of shit up. But I feel like a Doctor Strange trailer could land anywhere in between, the release of Spider-Man No Way Home and in between when the Batman drops, purely because of the fact that just in terms of pure tonality, I feel like Doctor Strange is a lot more in line with the Batman and with Morbius. But hey, again, and also like comic books generate good buzz for other comic book films. So when one does well, it means another one has potential to do well. So when you tease one in front of another, you're just doing the other one a favor. Philip Leaks are ruining everything, to be honest. Instead of not knowing what will happen, you will not know it. Miss the old days of being mind blown without knowing anything. You know what? I can absolutely agree to that sentiment. And the last time I honestly felt that way was probably Man of Steel. And I walked into that film with little to no expectations, outside of just kind of just seeing. I think I only watched the 2 trailers. I don't even think I watched the third one, but I watched 2 trailers going into Man of Steel, and I walked out of it just absolutely spectated, just absolutely floored. Like that movie just did it for me in so many different ways. And I feel like it was probably because I avoided a large part of what had already might have been online and certain things. And the only thing that really excited me was a friend of mine had told me, there might be a hint towards Batman. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, sure enough, there were a couple hints to Batman in that movie. And then eventually, well, here we are. That was one of the times I remember just being absolutely enthralled. And then to your point, Marcus, being absolutely spoiled. I think like a week or a couple days before Iron Man 3 came out, I had wound up reading the entire synopsis of the film on Wikipedia because I was just that much of an idiot. And I was like, oh, there's no way this, because at the time I thought this was someone trying to troll, someone just kind of rewriting the wiki page because they could. It had it all up there, the Ben Kingsley turn of the Mandarin not barely being the Mandarin and like how the movie ends, blah, blah, blah. So when I came out of the movie, when I like watching Iron Man 3 with me and my friends, we're having a great time because it's my friend's birthday too. I remember getting to the point in the film where the Mandarin twist happens, and I'm just sitting there in just absolute silence, like, oh my God, it was actually true. Oh my, I'm so disappointed right now because not only had I spoiled myself, but I was just also incredibly disappointed with that creative decision of turning the Mandarin into just a farce joke for an actor and, just kind of pulling that whole, rug from out from under everybody. That instantly just tanked that movie for me for a really long time. And it wasn't until Shang-Chi, I looked at that movie now and I'm like, okay, I can tolerate you now. Marcus also says, keep your expectations low and you will not be disappointed. Don't expect too much. See, I agree. And then I find out a bunch of information about the Batman, or I cross-reference a bunch of stuff with a bunch of other people, and it's just like, ooh, I can't wait for this movie. It's funny. I don't want to be spoiled by anything else, but anything Batman related, I'm like, ooh, give it to me. Just give me this information because I am just that spoiled on it. But that's only because I love Batman. I know that's a horrible justification for it, but shit. You don't see me out here spoiling the end of that movie, though. Wink, wink. And I think that's actually a great point to end this stream because I don't really want to get anybody's hopes up. I don't want to allude much more. But yeah, I thank you guys for tuning in. I know, Austin couldn't be here. Neither could Dawson. They were both very busy, taking care of some other things. I think pretty sure Dawson has to work tomorrow. Austin's got some prior commitments he was taking care of. So it was a fun solo show. I want to thank Marcus, Ersiah, Matthew, you guys, thank you for tuning in the chat. And Shri, of course, at the beginning. If you guys ever want to come again, Friday nights. But like I said earlier in the show, this might be the, last one for at least a week or two until I hopefully find a new place to live. But again, like, subscribe to all the Four Nerds, the Four Nerds Network. Much appreciated, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in to this shorter late night poll. This is moi signing off. I think. Let me pull up the right banners. There we go. All right, here we go. Yeah. Peace, love, unity, respect, everybody. Take it easy.